Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to be answering the question, how did the Jewish people survive 2,000 years of exile? After the destruction of the first temple by the Babylonians in 586 BCE, and then the second temple by the Romans in 70 CE, the Jewish people were forced out of their land, never to return. Or were they? Because despite the fact that Jews have been exiled from their land for almost 2,000 years now, they still exist and are still thriving all over the world. So how did they manage to survive all this time? Well, keep watching to find out. For the sake of those who don't know, let me just quickly explain what we mean when we say exile. When we refer to the exile of the Jewish people, we're talking about a period of time starting from the Babylonian conquest of Judah in 586 BCE with the subsequent destruction of the first temple up until the modern day. This means that Jews have been living outside of their land for almost 2,000 years, separated from it and forbidden to return. The exile began when Nebuchadnezzar II, king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, conquered the kingdom of Judah and took many of its inhabitants, including King Jehoiakim, to Babylon as captives. It continued with the Romans destroying the Second Temple in 70 CE and forcing the Jewish people to flee once again. Although it's important to mention that the Second Temple was destroyed in two stages. First, in 66 CE, the Romans under General Cestius Gallus came to Jerusalem to put down a revolt that had broken out in Judea. But after suffering heavy losses at the hands of the rebels, they withdrew back to their base in the coastal city of Caesarea Maritima. In response, the Jewish rebels seized the Temple Mount and proclaimed it an independent state free from Roman rule. They began readying themselves for a siege, stockpiling food and water, and preparing their weapons. And so when Roman reinforcements arrived under the command of General Titus in 67 CE, the Jews had no choice but to defend themselves against a force 3 times larger than their own. The siege lasted for 6 months and ended in disaster for the Jews. By the end of it, more than 1 million Jews were dead, most of them from starvation and disease. Titus then entered Jerusalem and pillaged the city, looting it and burning it to the ground. He also destroyed the Second Temple and desecrated its treasury, taking the gold and silver to Rome, where it was melted down and used to make a golden replica of the Colossus of Nero, a gigantic statue of the emperor. Nevertheless, a small number of Jews did survive the Roman siege and managed to escape into the Judean desert, where they lived in caves and survived on whatever food they could forage. These survivors eventually became known as the Essenes, and they are believed to be the community to which the author of the Dead Sea Scrolls belonged. They hid these manuscripts in caves near their settlements as a way of preserving them so that future generations would learn of the wisdom contained within them. But why does any of this matter? Well, because after the destruction of the Second Temple, the Jewish people were forbidden from ever returning to their homeland, and yet somehow they managed to survive 2,000 years of exile and continue being a people even to this very day. So how exactly did they do this? Well, according to Rabbi Abraham Isaac Kook, the answer lies within Judaism itself. As he wrote in his book, The Lights of Holiness, in the depths of our souls, there is a light which cannot be extinguished. And this light leads us along the difficult paths of life, enabling us to endure exile and persecution wherever we may find ourselves. For example, this light led the Jews in the desert after they left Egypt, as it led them throughout all their trials and tribulations throughout history. Even during the worst days of the Holocaust, when Jews were being rounded up and taken to concentration camps, murdered without a moment's hesitation, this inner light guided them to resist their oppressors in whatever way they could, whether through armed rebellion or by hiding and surviving as best they could. It was this inner light that enabled the Jewish people to survive 2,000 years of exile and continue being a people until today. This light is what has allowed the Jewish people to survive anti-Semitic persecutions for thousands of years, such as the infamous blood libel, the Black Death outbreaks of the 14th century, the forced conversions and expulsions of the 15th century, and of course the Holocaust of the 20th century. It's what has given us the strength to rebuild our lives every time we've been scattered, to re-establish our communities and customs wherever we go, And it's what will allow us to one day return to our homeland and rebuild our temple. As the prophet Isaiah said, "After this I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. And in that day I will pour out my spirit on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, from old to young, women and children alike. And they shall prophesy, they shall dream dreams, they shall see visions." Yes, it was this inner light that helped the Jewish people survive 2,000 years of exile. It gave us the strength to rebuild our lives and communities whenever we were scattered. And it's what will help us one day return to our homeland and rebuild our temple. And although there are many other reasons why Jews survived this long exile, such as having the Torah and Moses as our leaders, as well as our rabbis throughout history, I believe that it is this inner spiritual strength that has given us the power to overcome every obstacle that has come our way. It's this inner light that has kept us going and has allowed us to survive. However, that's not to say that things haven't been difficult for Jews throughout this exile. Of course they have. We've faced countless persecutions, pogroms, expulsions, and even genocides. There have been times when it seemed like our time had come and that we would finally be wiped off the face of the earth. But somehow we managed to survive each and every one of these attacks, and we're still here today. We survived the exile to Babylon because we had the Torah and the teachings of Moses to guide us. We survived the destruction of the Second Temple because we had the oral Torah and the interpretations of our rabbis. And we've survived 2,000 years of exile because we have our faith and our belief in God to sustain us. So what can we learn from this? Well, first of all, we can learn that no matter how difficult things may seem, no matter how dark things may appear, as long as we have faith and hope in God, we will be able to survive anything. Secondly, we can learn that even though it may seem like our enemies have defeated us and won, in reality, only God can defeat us. As long as we remain faithful to Him and to ourselves, then we will always be a people. Finally, we can learn that despite the fact that we've been exiled from our land for almost 2,000 years, our connection to it has never faded. In fact, our longing for Zion has only grown stronger with time, and we've expressed this longing in countless prayers, poems, and songs over the centuries. Our attachment to Zion is so great that even when we found ourselves far away from home, surrounded by people who hated our guts, we still managed to maintain our identity and traditions intact. So what do you think? Why do you think the Jewish people were able to survive 2,000 years of exile? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a big thumbs up as well as subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strong.